Friends, as time changes, many things change, and new solutions emerge for the challenges that we face. We should understand those solutions in time. The biggest challenge at the door today is destruction. Not being able to manage time and not being productive. And to solve this challenge, the new theory, the new concept that we are going to discuss today is of mind management and not time management. Today's book summary is mind management, not time management. Productivity. 1. Creativity. Matters written by David Kadavy. David Kadavy is also a writer and podcaster. He helps people be productive in their creative work. His books have sold more than 9 million copies. David Ted's The Post and Observer. So, the thing is that many books and speakers tell us how to use our time effectively. They tell you to do this or that. But the truth is that to get things done, you need to do a lot of time. Has nothing to do with time management. It just depends on how you manage your mind. This summary is going to teach you some simple and powerful techniques to achieve mind management. So let's start without delay. Today is book summary. Mind management. Not time management. Productivity. Fan creativity. Matters. By David Kadavy. You see it all around you. Everyday people are busy in making money. That is why you should use every second at the right place. To make money, you can fill your calendar with different activities. They make you so stressed that you don't have time to rest. And not only this, nowadays, people have started multitasking, doing many things at the same time, like answering emails while having lunch. Is this the same hustle culture? It is a part of which everyone feels proud. Has it become common to always feel tired, angry, or upset? This summary will prove that time management is no longer useful, and you will not get anything from it. You can use this. You will learn how mind management can help you achieve success and do any work. Maybe you will also learn that there is no need to hurry in achieving something. Mind management, not time management, is a better way to achieve your goals. So let's start with this first chapter, mind management, not time management. The author of this book, David Kadavy, did not consider himself a writer. He did not like writing since childhood. But one day he was offered such a book deal that only a fool would refuse. That is why David planned his life in this way, so that he could write a book. First of all, he made sure that he had enough time to write the book. He canceled dinners and other plans with his friends and started keeping his writing sessions in place of these. David made several dates, but he stopped going there and even started getting his groceries and food delivered at home. He put his heart and soul into writing his book. A writer has a box of words in his mind, but he is not able to do anything with words. But all this was not so natural or easy for David. When he sat down to write, he could not write even a single word, and neither could he write. Who knows how many hours passed just by sitting in front of the computer? Then he started feeling the pressure on himself. David had to finish 25% of the work of the book in the next few weeks and show it to the publisher. If he was not able to do so, the deal could get cancelled. David did not want to disappoint his family and friends. He decided to join a retreat in Costa Rica. He knew very well that he would not be able to write anything even after going there. Does this mean that joining the retreat will not help him? He had regrets. Of course he did. But David thought a change of location might help him get over his writer's block. David began to regret saying yes to the retreat and moved out of his house to get rid of his frustrations. When he wanted to do this, he met Diego, who was on the other side of the road, and he called David as if they were friends. Diego called David with a hand gesture and started talking to him in Spanish. David was like an idiot, did not want to be seen. So he responded to Diego's statement. After talking to him, David found out that Diego wanted to talk about something like this. He loved walking on the beach and the rainy season. Their conversation did not last long, but David felt very good after this. When David returned home, he again sat in front of the computer the next day. David was able to write the first chapter in 1 hour. This made David understand what had happened that he was able to write. The reason was not to find time to write. Time management is no longer effective. You need to manage your time. No, but you need to be in the right mental state to write. This is what David calls mind management. Mind management means giving priority to your creative energy, but it can also waste your time. Have you ever felt zero after looking at your long to-do list? Have you felt motivation? This happens to all of us. However, with mind management, you can overcome this difficulty. Mind management means looking at a task or problem from a different perspective. In time management, you ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Most of the time, this question makes you procrastinate because you know that you want to do something and you don't have the focus to do it, and there is no motivation. On the other hand, in mind management, you ask yourself, what work am I in the mood to do right now? But what should I do that fits with my mood and is the best way to complete my work? That your mental state and the work being done should match each other. This way, resources like energy and time are not wasted. The next chapter is the creative sweet spot. Being creative is not something that comes to you easily. It is not a grocery item, which you can buy. The process of creativity takes time. To tell a story, write a song, or make a painting, it is very important that your state of mind is right. David uses 2 types of thinking to get into the creative mode, which is diversion thinking and conversion thinking. Divergent thinking happens when your thoughts are scattered. In this, your focus is on many things. When you combine these different thoughts, then it is called convergent thinking. Then the writing is of. Take an example. You want to say something, but to say it, you need help. There are several ways to say it. First, what do you want to say? Do you want to say it formally or as if you were talking to a friend? Do you not want to give it a name, or do you want to tell everyone? If you want to give the impression that you have written it, this is called divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is when you choose one of your options. For example, suppose you want to write about your first love. You can give your writing to your readers. You want to present the tone as a friend. You do not want to give it any name, because you do not want to reveal your identity to everyone. That is why to create good creative ideas, you need both divergent and convergent thinking to make your final product brilliant. To create, you need the best ideas. But how will you find these ideas? By identifying your creative spot. Your creative spot tells you about the time and place in which you can do your best creative work. Creative work is not such a thing. This is something you can do with the help of a guidebook, which contains some logic or some mathematical formula. Creative work is not useful. It is a unique thought process, which we often call insight. According to neuroscientists, insight is a sudden feeling or change in perspective. Insight can also be considered a movement of urine which occurs when one gets something. Tears of joy come to your eyes. Have you ever suddenly got a brilliant plan idea? It is called eureka, or you have found this moment. It happens when you suddenly find some missing words of your song, or you are able to recite your song. Find a perfect plot of the story, and now want to pet something again, but don't know what to pet. Then suddenly remembering to pet your favorite cartoon character would be a thrilling moment for whom you will get to know a lot during your special time. Finding your creative spot can be easy. Remember, this is about mind management, not time management. Your energy is not the same every day or throughout the day. Just like your job expends a lot of your energy, your work also expends a lot of your energy. Activities like socializing with friends or working on your painting or novel also take up a lot of your energy. That's why find the right time of the day when you have the most energy. You also have to be in sync with your system, i.e., your sleep cycle. This system helps you stay in place during the day. Think of it as a line going up. The more you get, the more energy you have. The more you stay awake, the more alert you will be. But staying awake and alert stops your sleep clock. In other words, if you do not sleep well for one night, your sleep clock increases a lot. Try to reduce your sleep clock. Think of it as a line going down because it drains your energy. Your system and sleep deadline meet at the beginning of the afternoon around 2:30 p.m. This is why you feel sluggish and tired at this time. Your body clock. Understanding this helps you to focus on your work easily. Many people work very focused in the morning. For example, the best violin players practice diligently for the first 2 to 4 hours of their day. Famous writer Virginia Woolf and psychologist BFPs do this because morning is the time when people are fully awake and most active. Stay alert. David has another way to find his creative spot, which he calls the first wave rule, which helps him stay disciplined in completing his work when you spend the first hour of your day on your project. If you apply this rule, then it is called the first wave rule, and it should not be any ordinary project, but it should be your most important project. By doing this, you will be able to complete that project quickly. Hearing this, you might be wondering whether this is really possible. If yes, then the answer is yes. It is absolutely possible. Start your day with your most important work. That is, with a task that you have to do. By doing this, the chances of you being lazy to complete it are greatly reduced. It also prevents interruption in that work. After receiving this important learning, move on to the next chapter. The 4 stages of creativity. Even when you are not actually writing and painting, you can still do writing and painting. This is a great form of creativity. The process isn't just about writing and painting, explains social psychologist Graham Bowler. There are 4 stages of control, or 4 stages of creativity. The first stage is preparation. This is when you think about everything about your project. Which characters will be there in your story? How long will your song be? To make a painting, what will you use? This is the brainstorming stage. In this, you have so much information about your project that you become like a walking encyclopedia. David also started working on his book in the same way. There was a time when he used to sit in his living room and open such sources of information. Books, newspapers, and journals were scattered around David. He also had a whiteboard on which he used to write possible topics and chapters. The research they did was not a waste of time. It was helping them get to the next stage of creativity. The second stage is incubation. This is the time when you are not actively working on your project. You might be working on something else, or spending time with friends and family. We need to take breaks in between. Forcing yourself to complete the task immediately does not always work. By doing this, you will start getting frustrated and angry. By doing this, you will lose your creative spot. It will be difficult to find and move on to the third stage. The third stage is elimination. This is the eureka or aha movement. The third stage is elimination. This is the eureka or aha movement. The third stage cannot be fully explained because it is sudden and unpredictable. As mentioned above, if you do not prepare, you cannot reach this stage. You will have to spend a lot of time in the first stage. Let us know how the first stage helps you to reach the third stage. For this, we will take the example of Paul McCartney of the Beatles. That memorable song named Yesterday was composed in a very unique way. He heard the tune of this song in his dream. When he opened his eyes, he woke up from his sleep and started playing that tune on his piano, and thus created the greatest song in history. One of the songs became a hit, but it wasn't that easy. Paul had already written a few songs before writing Yesterday. He was writing and producing music. He had been creating music for years, and just because he was able to write a song like Yesterday's Day, his work didn't stop there. Paul made sure that he also completed the fourth stage, which is verification. The fourth stage is verification. This happens when you think about the eureka movement that came in the elimination stage. In this, You make sure that your idea is foolproof and brilliant. You double-check that something is correct. Paul wasn't 100% sure the song he had created was original. He thought it might have been a tune he had heard before. There weren't any cameras or software around at the time that could make it. Paul spent 1.5 years trying to determine if a tune was his own. And during this time, he worked extensively on changing the song's lyrics, tune, and arrangement in order to tell whether it was his own or not. Work will be done if you don't take your time in every stage of creativity, so you can never create a masterpiece. You have to go through each stage of this whole process. The next step is the 7 mental states of creative work. There was no strict rule of debit, but he had such work to do and to go. For him, there was a place that helped him get in the right mood to write. He used to go to the 19th floor of the John Haddock Center to write in his little notebook. These thoughts are scattered in the beginning, but after writing them down, they become a part of his writing. David also began to see other things that he thought should be included in his book. The John Haddock Center helped David organize his thoughts. There was a coffee place called Absinthe Coffee that David loved. The beautiful view and the aroma of coffee beans make that place an ideal place for writing. Like a debtor, you too can do different types of work according to your mental state. Your mental state depends on these 7 things. One of the mental states may be. The first one is prioritize. Mental state. This is when you make a plan. You decide what you need to do and how you are going to achieve it. You also decide what is important and what is not. This is what debit. John Haddock Center, I used to do the second one. The explore mental state. It is not about doing research. It does not require giving specific answers to specific questions. In the explore mental state, it is said to let your curiosity run wild and not feel guilty for it. For example, suppose you are thinking of painting something. You do research on what you want to paint, but in the process, you watch a complete documentary on the history of painting, and you let your curiosity run free. The third mental state is the research state. This is where you look for specific questions and answers. David is in this state most of the time. He's researching how to build a chain, aperture, or how to verify that his brain is working properly. Is the definition he is going to write in the book correct or not? Fourth, the fifth mental state is the general mental state. This is the state where you actually work. You create something by combining the ideas you have gathered in the previous mental state, such as writing your first draft. The fifth mental state is the polishing mental state. This stage is for editing and polishing the work. It is about what you made in the previous sentence. Just like you make sure that your sentence has some meaning, while painting you check that there is no place left on the canvas where you have not painted, or there is no color that is missing, which needs to be made deeper or lighter. The sixth is the administrative mental state. You cannot always focus on your creative work. You also have some responsibilities that you have to fulfill, like paying your bills and spending time with your family. This mental state is because it is important, because you need to pay attention to other areas of your life as well. Finally, recharge is a mental state in which you need to relax and refresh yourself. Take a day off or go on a vacation. When your schedule is booked, one day you will be able to recharge. Take a break or go on vacation noise when David is stressed about his book. When he gets sleep, he goes for a massage. Sometimes watching funny videos or movies can also help. Find ways to calm yourself and relax your mind. Creative suckles. David had a very strange routine from 12 in the night till morning. He used to focus only on his book till 4 o'clock in the morning. At 4 o'clock in the morning, he would switch off the light, shut down his computer, and sleep till noon. The next day, in the afternoon, he would get the debit ready and go to the coffee shop. He would work in the cafe till it closed. There was no time to do it. This is called the debit create cycle. It is a repeating cycle in which, along with moving forward in your work, you also get time to rest. There are 4 stages of creativity in the creative cycle in which you prepare. Include bet, eliminate, honor, verify. The creative cycle doesn't have to be based on a set amount of time. It can be based on weeks or even different seasons. Let's look at an example of a creative cycle. The first stage of creativity is called preparation. She likes to do it at night, in the peace of the night. It helps her to focus, so she gets a lot of information for her song and goes into the next stage of creativity, which is incubation. When she sleeps, Bet can't concentrate on her creative work. Sub feels inspired and reaches the third stage of creativity, which is illuminati. She gets an aha moment and gets the right words for her song, and she immediately writes them down on a tissue paper kept with her. She spends the afternoon refining her song. She replaces some of the words with better ones and chooses the best instruments to play the tune. There are so many options for managing your mind. You just need to find the one that works for you. The next chain that suits you the most is Apter Creative Systems. Once David was in a big trouble. He had to do an interview with Dr. Rock for his podcast. Dr. Rock was an inspiration for David. He had written a book called Your Brain at Work, with the help of which David was able to understand that in creative work, how does mind work? David considered Dr. Rock as his ideal, but on the day when David had to talk to Dr. Rock, he had to face many difficulties. Earlier, construction work was going on in the apartment which he had rented, and he had to spend the whole day there. It was noisy. There couldn't have been a worse situation to record a podcast. Secondly, David had recently moved to Panama City to write his book, but didn't know his new neighborhood very well, so he had no idea why. David had no idea where he could find a good place for the interview. Thirdly, David knew that it would be impossible to reschedule the interview because famous people like Dr. Rock are always busy. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It seemed like it was clear what was going to happen. David would have to cancel the podcast. Nothing was going right that day, but Bit's creative system got activated, and he wrote an email to Dr. Rock, and somehow suddenly he said no. Not feeling hopeful, he had solved every problem he could think of, eventually recording with David Doc Rock. We're successful in doing this. The creative system has a repeating process that helps you do your creative work. It helps you know what steps should be taken, keeping in mind your mental energy. The creative system has a chest. Think of it as a device that covers your creative cycle and the stages of creativity. It basically oversees the whole creative process. The creative system needs a minimal, creative dose. This is the smallest thing you can do to move your creative work forward. You can do this for, suppose you are a writer. Your minimum creative dose is to write one paragraph of your book. Minimum creative dose helps you to focus on your other priorities. Open loop is also a good thing for creative work, ICA. Let us understand by example. When you feed your cat, you notice that its food is about to finish. You make a mental note to buy cat food from the supermarket. This is an open loop because you have to buy cat food. It keeps running in your mind continuously even when you are doing something else. Open loops create a space in your mind. This mental space remains vacant. This space can be empty only when you complete that work, i.e., buy cat food. It seems like a negative thing, but open loops are beneficial for your creativity or your project. Let's go back to the example where you were a writer and you were writing a paragraph for your book that creates a coupon loop in your mind that you look back on the next day and the days ahead. This way, even if you can't spend your whole day writing, you won't feel guilty. As long as you are making progress, you can keep moving forward and not lose your momentum. The best thing about the creative system is that you can keep all the open loops. One loop can be connected to the plot of your story, while the other can be connected to the back of the character of the story. The creative system also prevents you from making excuses. You cannot even say that you do not have time because there is a minimum creative dose. Only a few minutes are needed for this, and now that more, which we call conclusion, i.e., all the chapters we have read and listened till now. We will repeat his learnings here. First of all, you learned what mind management is. It means creating the right mental state to do your work. It means asking yourself, what work am I in the mood to do? What can I do that fits that mood? Secondly, you learned that you can achieve mind management by finding your creative sweet spot. You can do this by applying Devo Gent Honor conversion thinking. In both ways, you can create a eureka movement, which is like a sudden success in your creative work. To find your creative sweet spot, you have to identify your most productive time. Most people like to work in the morning because there are fewer distractions during that time. Third, you need to focus on your creativity. Learn about the stages. You have to go through these stages to create something amazing. These stages are preparation, incubation, work with Illuminati. Learn about the mental states. These states help you to complete the 4 stages of creativity. These are the 7 mental states. Prio Nutties explore research. Generate Polish administer and recharge 5th. You learned about the creative cycle. It's a repeating cycle of doing creative work and finding time to rest. The creative cycle is about deciding what time frame works for you, whether it's a week, a month, or a season. Why not noise 6th? Getting to know your creative system. It looks at the 4 stages of creativity and the creative cycle. It is a repeating process that helps you find answers to questions like, what steps should you take? Or how should you do them? Today, the whole world has become a storm of fast life in which everyone is busy doing more and more work as quickly as possible. But there is a different pleasure in doing things slowly. So enjoy that process and do not hurry. Like it is said that big things are achieved only by those who wait for them. And the same thing has been said in our Vedas, that there is victory in patience. To keep yourself focused and to increase your creativity at the door of destruction. This is the winning way. Whatever tools and learning you gain will prove valuable to you, and you can use them. I will also implement it in my life.